right on the bench. I got 3 Motorola radios here. So these two are actually the same. These two are model 4002. And I'm trying to restore these to make one good one out of both of those. But actually all 3 of these radios work. They transmit, they receive. Actually, they work really well. I've never had, to be honest, I've never had any of these 40 series radios not work. I'm not saying that, you know, they don't break. I'm just saying the ones that have come across my bench have never been broken, and they've all worked actually really well. These things are built like tanks. You might not like the look of them, but they are well-made radios. But yeah, so I'm trying to make one good one out of these two. You can see they're kind of beat up. The cabinets or the case, whatever you want to call them, is not in the best shape. They are extremely yellow, obviously from UV. You can tell this one here was definitely on probably someone's dashboard. You can actually see this one here. You can see the where the bracket was. You can kind of see that it's still a little bit more grayer than yellow. So that's something I've been battling too, and I'll get into that as well with the retro bright and whatnot. Talk about the microphones. And so this one here is the Mocat 40. So this is the 4020. This one actually has the LCD channel display here. As you can see, this one here is just the old analog style. But the few videos that I've seen on YouTube kind of, I wouldn't say they're not telling the truth, but I think there might be some sort of misconception here. So a couple of the videos I saw said that these were put in patrol cars, like the Mocat 40. Yeah, but it was a specific model, and it was the, when you look at here in the Sam's manual, it was the 4009. So that 9 designates that it had a channel 9 monitor. And I don't have a 4009 here, but we can actually look at some pictures that I found on Facebook. I'm not a part of Facebook, but when I did a search for that specific radio, the first thing that came up was a Facebook post from a CB club, but we can take a look at that. So it's page 67. So you can see here that it has its own channel 9 receive section. And when you go to the, there's, we can get a better picture, but that squelch knob is actually split. That's a dual potentiometer, one squelch for the regular 39 and then one for channel 9. So obviously the significance of channel 9 was that, for those who don't know, if you live under a rock or whatever, channel 9 was considered the emergency number. You didn't really chat on it unless, you had an emergency. It's kind of, technically, yeah, it's still the emergency channel, but for those who actually go to channel 9, you'll find out that it is actually what's called the Spanish Super Bowl. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying that that's what it is. And it is for all those guys running high-powered radios, that speak Spanish. And, we got the channel 6 for the English speakers, and channel 9 is for the Hispanic or Spanish-speaking individuals. But technically, it's still considered an emergency channel. So we can actually see, they all kind of look the same. In fact, when you look at this one here, this one, when you look at the bottom there, the switch, you still have the hole there for the other options. That it's covered up by this plate. But anyway, let's look over here at the Facebook post here, and this is an actual So this is from, I'm assuming it's a club, CB Radio Lounge. And this is from a gentleman called Dave Panic. So it says here, today's mail call, Motorola 4009 CB radio. The model is slightly more difficult to find, being it's 2 radios in 1 cabinet. Standard 40 channels, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You could be on any other of the 39 channels, hit channel 9 monitor, adjust the squelch for quiet. Channel 9 remains in monitor mode. It'll stay on frequency until the transmit is quiet, has the channel 9 button. So basically what this is exactly as I stated, it's just a channel 9 monitor. So you actually read there, it says continuous dual receivers. And yeah, I mean, basically you didn't have to keep your radio on channel 9, and that's the benefit of that. So this was the model that was specifically meant for the first responders. So you can actually see there that squelch it's a split pot. So yeah, channel 9 squelch and then the regular squelch. And then you had your channel 9 switch and then your monitor. So this one here didn't have a PA function. And the extend is basically a noise blanker ANL type of thing. For some reason, Motorola calls it extends, but that's essentially what it is. And then when you look up here, if I can get it, yeah, you can see that priority, when you switch channel 9 on, that priority light would come on. So yeah, this is the model that was more specifically intended to be used by emergency services, whether it was, highway patrol or your sheriff's office or, whatever. It was this one. So now I'm not saying that, possibly this one wasn't used or, one of those weren't used in some squad car. But it kind of defeats the purpose of having putting these in your squad car when you're supposed to monitor channel 9, so, yeah, the 4009 is what was actually used in emergency vehicles, squad cars, whatever, highway patrol, state police, that type of thing. So, yeah, so all 3 of these radios are mine. This one is actually in really nice shape. It's not completely yellowed. It is a little bit discolored. It does have the original bracket, the original thumb screws, the microphone, as well, which we're going to talk about these Motorola mics. Yeah, because there could be issues if you don't have the original mic to these radios. But anyway, you can see here that this thing is extremely yellow. So I've been kind of messing around with trying to restore this back to its original, like light gray or, whatever color you want to call that, like a putty color. And I've used a Retro Bright. I've actually bought Retro Bright. I've made my own with the highly concentrated peroxide water. I've had these under various UV lights, especially at the shop, the auto body shop, where it didn't work. It didn't even touch this cat. Well, actually, I used the mic. You can see the mic is better, but I used another process for that. And you can see that it started to look a little bit better. So what I did here was I started to wet sand this. I started off with a 200. Was it 200? Whatever it was. It was like in the 2s. Wet sand. And you could see that it was starting to come through. It took a long time to get to this. But the mic came out a little bit better. I know that the stuff does work. I've seen all the videos, online with the Retro Bright and the UV light, or putting them in bags and leaving them out in the sun. I've seen all those, and I've tried everything, and I could not get this to even slightly turn back to its original color. I'm not a chemist, so I don't know, all the different types of plastics, ABS and this and that. That's above my pay grade. But I'm assuming that it probably works on certain types of plastics. Maybe stuff that's not as old as this, because I mean, this is, late 70s vintage. Some of the stuff I've seen was like old Game Boys and, computers and stuff, which would probably put it like, late 80s vintage. So, there's a significant difference in age there. So it might be both type of plastic, age. So yeah, I couldn't get this thing to even remotely look like this one. So this one here I'm not going to touch, even though it is discolored a little bit, but it actually looks okay. So I think I'd end up doing more harm than good with this one. But you can actually see that this thing was probably face up more than the backside. It was probably mounted somewhere where the sun didn't hit it so much. But yeah, that's basically what it is. It just gets beat by UV light and it, discolors. It becomes, this pretty disgusting beige, color. But anyway, what I did was, like I stated before, I started to wet sand the mic here, and you can see that it was coming out pretty nice. I don't know if you can tell, but there's still some fine scratches there. And I was just experimenting with this. So what I need to do is, I think this was finished off with like 1,000. So I need to maybe use like a 1,200 and wet sand that and then compound it out with the buffer really well. And I think that will get rid of all those fine scratches. But it's coming out pretty good. It's promising. Yeah, you can see the back side here. But this was just as yellow as that. In fact, this came with this radio. You can see the difference. So it looks pretty promising. And the other thing that I could do is, just scuff it up and spray it, which I think I'm going to end up finishing this one by sanding it and then compounding it out. But I think what I end up doing is, I think this one is the better case. I have a piece there that I can glue back in. But yeah, I think I'm going to end up spraying this case to a close color. Doesn't have to be exact, but something a little bit nicer. Because what happens is the more I sand, the more you lose this texture. And I guess I could always just spray it with the textured paint. That is another option. So I guess I have a few different options here, but I would definitely like to see this not yellow, so I can just put it back on my shelf and, call it a day. But anyway, I'm in the middle of restoring those two. And so this one here is, it's got some, I wouldn't say weird caps. I mean, they're just axial mounted caps. You can see the big, those 3 big caps there. So I ordered some caps especially for these radios. And then the rest are just standard radial lead caps. So yeah, I'm going to end up just recapping this radio, doing the alignment, and then just putting it on my shelf. And then I'm going to make one good one out of those two, and then I'll have a POTS chassis in case I need it. So if you're in the market for one of these and you want to put one in your collection, obviously they're pretty slim pickings. They do show up here and there on eBay, and I'm sure maybe on Facebook Marketplace or whatever. Again, I don't do Facebook. I don't intend on doing Facebook. And I know there's a big CB community on Facebook, but it's just not my thing. But I'm sure you can probably find one on the Marketplace there or, wherever. But the 3 of these were, actually one was Mercari, I think. And then the other 2 were eBay purchases. But try, if you do get them, try to get them with the mic. These radios work best with the original mics. They are preamped. And if you try to use a regular microphone on these, it's not going to work. You can see this one here. I already placed the element on this one because that was gone. But yeah, even this one here, they're all you know, pre amplified. So if you don't have the original mic, there is a way. There's a certain microphone that you can use, and it's actually in one of the CB secret manuals, which I can show you. You can use one of the Cobra amplified mics to act as a replacement if you don't happen to have one, or if your mic is broken and beyond repair. There is a way around it, but you know, using a standard mic, it's not going to work. So let's go back over here. So this says Secret CB. This is volume 24, and this is page 51. So you can see here, it says when the microphone on these units go bad. This is for the Mocat 40 or any of these like 40 series radios. Possibly even the other ones, I don't know, but this definitely works because I've tried it on this specific line, the 40 series radios. So when the microphone on these units go bad, you have a big problem. Well, not really, but since they have a built-in preamp powered by the radio itself, it can't be replaced by stock microphone. Also, from what I understand, Motorola doesn't make or have replacement parts. So you're going to get a CA50 Cobra power microphone, and you can actually do this modification to it. I'm not going to go through it, but you can do this modification to it, and sure enough, it does work. So, and the CA50 mics are pretty readily available. And yeah, so that's an option you can do if you have one of these radios, or you you know, lost the mic, or your mic is broken, whatever. You can do that modification to it, and it works. I've done it. So yeah. Anyway, back to this radio. So I'm going to go ahead and recap this. I'm going to align it, and then we'll put her on air and see if we can get some chatter and possibly a radio check. So yeah, let me get to this, and we'll take it from there. All right, so you slide this forward, and you have 2, 4 screws, and then one in the back here. Sorry, the lighting in here is a little weird, but one there, and then the case splits. But you can see here that they actually give you the directions to open radio. Remove bottom screw, slide speaker grill forward, remove 4 screws, and then refer to servicing to qualified personnel. So what they're telling you is, you can take this apart, just don't touch it. You can look inside, but don't do anything. So, but yeah, I figured I'd show you guys that. That's how you take these off. Pretty simple. But if you don't know, you're gonna end up breaking something, and so yeah, that's how you do these. But again, this one was probably not used for too long in a mobile setup, or if it was probably hidden from direct sunlight, because this is the mic that came with it, and you can actually see that it is a little bit more yellow than the case itself. So chances are the mic was up somewhere up in its holder, and its mic holder exposed more to the UV light than the actual radio itself. So yeah, it's crazy how the UV light just does that to the sun rays. Just do that to certain plastics. But all right, let me get this open and recapped. All right, so unlike the later Motorola radios, where it was a real pain in the butt to work on, especially if you had to recap and even align some of the later Motorola radios, this one just comes right out, and relatively easy to work on. Recapping this shouldn't be too bad. Yeah. So you can see that it's not your typical made radio. Like you can see the lighting. It actually uses one bulb, and then it uses this almost fiber optic like type of tech to make the make everything light up. But yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult to do. So let me get at this, and then yeah, continue on. All right, it's been recapped. It wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be, simply because of the double-sided board. It was, yeah, in fact, kind of challenging with some of them. But anyway, it's done. It's a fine line between choosing temperatures for your desoldering gun, because if you go too hot, you run the risk of pulling a trace. But if you don't go hot enough, it'll never melt through the other side. So yeah, it's a little challenging, but once you get the temperature dialed down, it goes pretty good. So all right, the only thing left is to get this thing aligned, and I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. I'll put it back in its case, get it aligned, and yeah, we'll take it from there. See what's going on out there on the 40 AM. All right, stand by. All right, it's aligned. Not that it took much, so probably the easiest alignment I've ever seen on in a Sam's manual. This is the alignment. Put it to channel 19 and check for 3.5 to 4 watts. Crazy, huh? Yeah, I was like, what is there, a missing page or something? Or, what's going on here? So you got the synthesizer alignment, receive alignment. You can see it's page 62, page 63. Transmit alignment. Crazy. I wasn't expecting that. But that's a real, I think Motorola definitely missed on this one, because, all right, well, you don't want to have anybody mess with your radios. I get it, especially transmit. I can accept that. This radio is actually right on 4 watts carrier. But at least have meter adjustment, and there's nothing here to even adjust the meter. Like, so right now that should be an S9, and it's what, maybe 5, 4.5, that should be right at the 9, right at the 9 right there, right at that notch that's there, and it's not. Yeah, it's an S9. Sure, sounds like an S9, kinda, the best I can tell, sounds like an S9. Meter's off. So, yeah. But even transmit, you guys will see, I got the signal generator hooked up, so I can't transmit right now, but, yeah, even the, it's wicked annoying, to be honest with you. It's that definitely Motorola dropped the ball on that one. But yeah, I mean, you can see in here, and I'm like, well, maybe they just don't list it. Maybe there's a trimmer or something there that they just don't want you to list. But no, there is nothing in here that will adjust. The only thing you can adjust is the extend. You can adjust the squelch. Now, obviously, the synthesizer, so you make sure you're on frequency. Receive is, relatively easy, but yeah, that's it. So, man, I wish that there was an adjustment, for the meter. So, it is what it is. All right, let me get this back together, and we'll see what's going on out on air. All right, stand by. Actually, why don't we just check sensitivity, so we can actually see you know, if we're missing anything here, but I'm pretty sure we're not. So, all right, that's an S9. Let's bring this down, minus 80, minus 90, minus 100, it's minus 110. I'll turn this up. Minus 110, 11, 12, 13. I mean, that's a really good listening radio, no doubt about it. Just the meter's off, so yeah, it's a little frustrating to say the least. You know, again, not to beat a dead horse. You know what? Transmit. You don't want anybody messing with it. I get it. But the meter, I mean, I don't know. I don't understand. I really just don't understand that. But all right. Again, let me get this back together. All right, it's back together. Notice something? The bulb blew. Imagine. So, yeah, it kind of looks like the 194 bulbs you find in like turn signals in your cars or whatever. So I'll go ahead and order a bunch of those just so I can have here as well. But anyway. Yeah, such is my luck with this radio. But anyway, the key up here. Look at this meter. Look at how off it is. You know, but it's pretty spot on. Audio, 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 audio. You know, swinging to like 15 PEP. Dead on accurate. So. The performance is there. You know, sensitivity is there, no doubt. It's a good modulating radio. I wouldn't even touch TX anyway, you know, with that kind of performance. And, but man, yeah, again, they really dropped the ball on this meter. Kind of bummed about that, but yeah. I don't know, unless somebody has some sort of idea. I don't know, getting this thing to getting this meter working right's above my pay grade. Got to be honest with you guys. There's no adjustment for it. I can even experiment, you know. Sometimes you'll come across instructions that will, you know, not include, you know, some stuff to adjust, but the adjustments are in the radio. You know, the trimmers are in the radio. The transformers are in the radio. You know, whatever it may be, whatever you're trying to adjust. But there is physically nothing in this radio that will allow adjustment for TX or the meter, unfortunately. So, yeah, I wouldn't know how to even get this meter working properly. But anyway, it's a good receiving radio. It is a good performing radio, good modulating radio. Let's see if we can hook this up to the antenna and maybe we can get some skip. All right, stand by. Actually, let's see how this thing sounds on the monitor radio there, the A10E. So, all right, we're on 17. Check. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Checking out the audio on this Mocat 40 Motorola. Sounding pretty good. I think it's a really good sounding radio. Really good sounding radio, other than the fact that we can't get this meter accurate. What a shame. But yeah, I think we got a good sounding radio here. Good receiving, good sounding radio. So it is what it is. All right, guys, let's put this on the antenna and see what's going on out on air. All right, stand by.
about your number 9. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of 9s out there, but I'm going to come back to the one on my radio, number 9. Hello to you around number 9 around the Magnolia.
Anybody out in the bowl got a copy on 320? Anybody got a copy on 320 in Boston, Mass?
No pain, no strain, number 9. You got my sticking needle up in the corner. Hey, number 9, that's the way Mother Nature is. You don't know what she's going to do. I tried to save some from yesterday. I put her in a Ziploc bag, and I'm going to bring her out today, this afternoon. Oh, number 9, you know who? The northwest corner, all right, back.
Cold day in hell. I'll actually make it through on the ball, barefoot. There you go. There's a Spanish Super Bowl number 9. Talking about earlier. Go back around and we'll end the video. Let's hang out at 11 for a few minutes. See if anything. Oh, a few seconds, not minutes. Alright guys, I'm going to end it here. Hopefully you enjoyed this video with these Motorola radios. And yeah, that's about it guys. Thanks for watching.